Welcome to the Social Bee Podcast with your host, Louise Brogan. Every week, Louise will be bringing you a podcast all about women entrepreneurs, talking about their challenges, their goals, and inspiring you to either start your own business or grow the business you have. Visit www.socialbeeni.com to join our community and pick up some lovely freebies to start marketing your business online today.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Social Bee Podcast. This is actually a very special moment for me as this is my 50th episode of the Social Bee Podcast. So when I started this podcast, if you listen to me regularly, you'll know that I am an avid podcast listener. I love listening to podcasts. It's probably the main way I consume the content for myself. I have several favourites. My beginners podcast listening was listening to Seth Godin, and he had like a short series of business school podcasts. That's how I first got into podcast listening. Then I think I listened to Amy Porterfield's online marketing podcast, Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast, and then I think I moved to John Lee Dumas's Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is where I found Kate, who is in one of my earlier episodes of this podcast. Kate Erickson, she has a podcast called Kate's Take, which is her take on the Entrepreneurs on Fire business, and well worth a listen to. Still one of my favourite podcasters. More recently, I probably am listening to mainly women podcasters. Now, saying that, when I met John Lee Dumas and Kate Erickson in Dublin recently, and we had dinner, it was a really lovely experience, very nice people. And since then, I've actually gone and started re-listening to the Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. So don't discount meeting someone in person in terms of your business, reaching new people or touching base with people you've met before, because that was certainly what happened with me. So my current podcast listening series, and this will change again, I'm sure, is I always listen to Natalie Ekdahl's The Biz Chicks podcast every single week. That's the one I never miss. I also listen to Janet Murray's Love Marketing podcast, and I'm a member of Janet's community. And I listen to Carol Cox, Speaking Your Brand podcast. So those are the three that I'm dipping in and out of at the moment, and listening to Kate as well. And Kate's podcast is great for processes and systems and getting organised, and always makes me feel like I can go and organise my entire business after I've listened to one of her episodes. So yeah, those are the podcasts that I like to listen to. And it's funny when I meet other people who like to listen to podcasts, they usually are listening to non-businessy podcasts. And I have no interest in listening to podcasts that aren't to do with business. I'm not really sure what that says about my personality. I like learning all the time. I like seeing what other people are doing and listening to what they're doing. And that's how I find out. So not reading blog posts, not necessarily reading. Like if I see an Instagram post with a big long piece of content on it, I don't read it. I don't read through that. So I like to listen. And I guess that you do too. Otherwise you wouldn't be listening to the Social Bee podcast this week. So I'm really glad that you're with me. And for those of you who've been listening all the way through, thank you so much for your support. I'm guessing that I must have been doing this nearly a year if I'm on 50 episodes. I don't know the exact date the first one went out, and I really should check. It's my wedding anniversary as I record this as well. We're married 14 years today. So lots of things are happening this week in business as in life. That's the way it goes. I thought that this 50th episode would be a good opportunity really to talk to you about how my business has grown and developed since I started, because I know a lot of you are listening who are at the initial stages of business and are maybe thinking of starting a business or just a couple of years or a year into business. And I want to let you know that my business has shifted and changed shape and changed format really quite a lot since when I first started. I was thinking back to whenever I first thought about having my own business was actually 12 years ago. Whenever I had an eBay shop selling craft supplies. That was when I was on maternity leave with my first baby. And I wanted something to do. And I started this eBay shop, which then became a website. which then became an actual shop. And then I was thinking, when did I open the shop? So I opened the shop whenever my third baby was on maternity leave for my third baby. And that's 8 years ago. And really, Social Bee came out of 2 years after that. So when I tell people I've been in business for 5 years, that's actually not quite true. So I must have been in business, I suppose it's 6 years. Yeah, 6 years in terms of Social Bee. And it's changed so much since I started out. So I started out being a social media manager for people. I then got into doing speaking gigs. And that's really when my business started to change and take a different turn. I realised that I really like teaching people. And now it has really evolved where most of what I do is going out, delivering workshops and having consultancy sessions with companies and organisations and helping people to work out how to market their businesses online. But that sounds like it's been an easy transition, and it absolutely hasn't. And I would say it's all about persistence and consistency. Taking speaking gigs initially that don't pay because it gets you in front of an audience and raises your visibility. And what happens then is people in the audience will hear you speak, and you might get a message or an email from them 6 weeks later, and they want to know, could you come out and have a chat with them about how their business looks in social media? And out of that, then they might go to their board of directors and pitch to get me to come out and do some training. And then that gets booked in. It could be 2-3 months after their first contact, after the training or speaking gig that they attended. So it's it can be a longer time frame from first contact with somebody to actually getting paid work as a result. And that's why I think it's really important to do lots of speaking events and lots of other podcasts. Getting on other people's podcasts helps to raise my business's visibility as well. So locally, speaking at workshops and events, getting on other people's podcasts, delivering webinars for other people and for my own audience as well. Doing webinars for other people is unpaid. I know that some people do run paid webinars. I've never been paid for delivering a webinar, but I have always got business as a result of holding a webinar. So I think in online business, you need to think wider and longer than what is that going to bring me in the next couple of weeks. So this week I wrote a blog post all about being consistent in terms of creating content for your audience. And I think consistency must be my word for 2018. So consistently delivering this podcast, consistently writing out to my email list, consistently creating content, and consistently going to events, having speaking gigs, and all of this work, when you keep at it, ends up being the way that I have grown my business. So what does my business look like today in September 2018? I have my membership site, which I am closing the doors to the membership site at the end of September. And when this goes live, it possibly has closed. It'll be closing on the Sunday night. So there'll be a waiting list for people who've missed the boat. But that's because I really want to work with the people who are in there for the next 3 months and get to know them and get to know what they really want help with. And so I have the membership. I have my mastermind, which is going so well. I love working with the women in my mastermind. So I have 5 people in my mastermind. We meet every Monday. We have a deep dive into issues or concerns or whatever question they bring to the table. We have a private group where we can pop into during the week as well. I love working with these women and helping them to move their businesses forward. And I will be forming more masterminds because I'm just really passionate about how they work and how good they can be for helping people to move their business forward. So there's the membership, the masterminds, my local workshops, and then the one-off pieces of consultancy. that I go out and work with a corporation or a customer. And that could be helping somebody to understand how to use LinkedIn, or it could be going out to a room of 12 to 15 board members and walking them through the benefits of marketing their business online and how to reach their ideal audience on the internet. So it's just very interesting and very different every week, and that's what I love about it. So how can this help you with your business? I would really like to help you to create some consistency in your business building online. So let's look at what that would be. I am going to run a challenge whereby I want everybody who participates to spend 20 minutes a day creating content in their business. Now, for you, this could look like creating images or video or recording audio. But I think the way I'm going to work this is it's going to be 20 minutes of writing a day. And I am going to run it for the month of October. And we're going to see where we end up after 4 weeks. It's actually 4.5 weeks in October. It's a long month. 4.5 weeks of consistently getting up every day and writing for 20 minutes. So what on earth do you write about? So think about when you meet clients or potential clients, what are the commonly asked questions that they have for you? So if you are a weight loss coach, do they ask you about confusion over whether they should be eating low fat or full fat? Should they be avoiding dairy? Should they be avoiding gluten? I'm not in that industry or space, so I'm not sure what questions those people would be asking. But I think that if you are in that space and you've been in that space for a while, you will be getting asked the same questions over and over and over again. So if you write down what those main questions are on a spreadsheet or on a bit of paper, then when you come to start writing content for your audience, you've got a list of topics ready to go. So if you get what I'm going to do, and I'd love you to do the same, is get up every day 20 minutes earlier than normal. And if you want to give yourself a break at the weekend, that's absolutely fine. I will not be getting up 6:20 on a Saturday and Sunday morning. If you want to do that, please be my guest. So every day, get up 20 minutes earlier than normal. If you want to grab yourself a cup of tea, go for it. I can't, because if you've listened to the podcast before, you'll know I have a spaniel. If I went into the kitchen and boiled the kettle, the spaniel will wake up. He would want fed. He would need to be let out to the garden. By the time I do all that, half my 20 minutes would be gone. So I'm not making a cup of tea, but feel free if that's what's going to help you. So look at your list of ideas that people are asking you for help with, and just sit down and start writing. So, for example, this morning, I started writing a blog post about Instagram. And I didn't get it finished, but I know what is going tomorrow morning when I get up 20 minutes earlier than normal. I know what the outline of that blog post looks like now because I did the work this morning. If you're like me, by the time you get up with the family and you have breakfast and, well, for me, dropping the kids to school, walking the dog, by the time I get back to my desk, it's 9:30. And then you're looking at your emails and you're checking your notifications on your social media. And then you have a piece of work you need to deliver. You don't actually get time to create content for your own business. And that's where it slides away and you lose the consistency. So I would really love for you to join me in this 30 days of content creation. I have got a free content challenge calendar on my website. I will put it in the link for this podcast episode and you'll be able to download that. And basically what it is a way of recording that you've done your 20 minutes every day. When you look at what you're going to be creating your content on, it's going to be content that answers the frequently asked questions that you have from your audience. If you don't have an audience yet, you can go and find other people who are working in a similar space to you, join their Facebook groups, follow their comments on their Instagram feeds, see what the questions are that their audience are asking them, and that will give you an idea of what those people want to know about. Also, attending local events and talking to people in person will give you